You know that feeling when you say something you instantly wish you could take back? Or when you walk away from a conversation just feeling completely and totally misunderstood? Well, today, we're diving into a framework that's designed to stop exactly that from happening. It's called Nonviolent Communication, or NVC, and it's an absolutely powerful tool for turning conflict into connection, even when it feels like there's no way.
This poem by Ruth Bebermeyer, wow, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? How often do our words, even when we mean well, end up building walls instead of windows, leaving people feeling judged, boxed in, and just pushed away?
I mean, of course, right? We all have. Just take a second and think about a time that a conversation just went completely off the rails. You walked away feeling hurt, or maybe angry, or just invisible. That feeling. That's exactly what nonviolent communication is all about transforming.
So, to figure out a better way, we first got to diagnose the problem. What is it about the way we talk every day that so often turns our words into these massive walls, leading to all this pain and conflict?
It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but from the time we're kids, we're taught to talk in terms of what's right or wrong with people. You know, if my coworker is way more into details than I am, he's picky. If I'm more concerned with the details, suddenly he's sloppy. We get so stuck in these boxes, classifying and analyzing, focusing on who is what, instead of what we and other people actually need.
And this habit of judging people is not just some minor little quirk. The creator of NVC, Marshall Rosenberg, he actually identified these really specific ways we speak that literally block our own compassion. So let's take a look at what's getting in the way.
He actually gave it this name, life-alienating communication. I know, it sounds super dramatic. But all it really means is any way of talking that cuts us off from our natural compassionate selves. Just think of it as the language of blame, of comparison, and of judgment.
And this slide, wow, it just lays out the core insights so perfectly. All of our judgments, our criticisms, our diagnoses of other people, they're really just tragic, clumsy ways of expressing our own unmet needs. So when we say, "You're so sloppy," what we might really, deep down, be needing is just a sense of order. The judgment is the wall, but expressing the need, that's the window.
Now this right here highlights one of the hardest, but oh my gosh, one of the most powerful skills in NVC, learning to separate what we observe from how we evaluate it. It's the difference between saying Doug procrastinates, which is a total judgment, and saying Doug only studies for exams the night before, which is just a fact. Can you feel the difference? One immediately makes you want to get defensive, while the other actually opens the door for a real conversation.
Okay, we've seen how our language can build all these walls. So how do we start building windows instead? This brings us to the really hopeful part, the constructive side of NVC, what its creator called a language of life.
And let's be clear, NVC isn't about just being nice or swallowing your anger. Not at all. It's a conscious practice. It's about training our attention, shining a flashlight on a totally different way of thinking and speaking that lets our natural compassion just flow.
This quote from Rosenberg really reveals the why behind all of this. See, the goal isn't to win an argument or to change people. It's about creating a quality of connection where everybody's needs can get met. Not because they have to, but because there's a genuine want to give from the heart. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? Well, NVC gives us this surprisingly simple 4-part framework. Think of it like a practical toolkit for both how we speak and how we listen. This 4-step process is our roadmap. So first, we state a pure observation, just the facts, what a camera would see. So instead of, "You always leave a mess," you'd say, "I see dirty dishes in the sink." Second, we identify and express our feelings. Are we frustrated, sad, happy? Let's say, "And I feel frustrated." Third, and this is the absolute key, we connect that feeling to a universal human need. Because I have a need for order in the space we share. And finally, we make a clear, positive request for what we'd like. Would you be willing to wash your dishes after you use them? It seems so simple, but it's a profound shift in how we communicate.
All right, this might sound great for, dirty dishes, but does it actually work in the real world, especially when the pressure is on? Let's look at a powerful, true story that really puts NVC to the ultimate test.
So picture this. The scene is a mosque in a refugee camp in Palestine. The air is just thick with tension, with decades of pain. And Rosenberg, an American Jew, is standing in front of this crowd to teach nonviolent communication. And then, suddenly, a man in the audience just jumps to his feet and screams, "Murderer!" right at him. And immediately, others join in, shouting, "Assassin! Child killer!"
I mean, you can imagine. It's an incredibly hostile and dangerous moment.
Now, instead of reacting with fear or getting defensive or attacking back, which is what most of us would do, Rosenberg did something radical. He made a conscious choice to listen past the words, past the attack, and to focus entirely on what that man might be feeling and what he might be needing. He guessed the man was feeling just immense anger, born from a deep, deep need to protect his people.
So he didn't respond to the label murderer. He responded to the pain behind it. He asked, "Are you angry because your people have suffered and you'd like me to understand?" He just offered empathy, a genuine shot at connecting with the man's unmet needs.
For the next 20 minutes, the man just poured out his pain, and Rosenberg just listened. And when that man felt truly, completely heard, a connection was made. And the result? The exact same man who had called him a murderer invited Rosenberg to his home for dinner. I mean, that is the transformative power of this work.
Wow. So, what can we take away from a story that powerful? How can we possibly apply this in our own lives, in our own conflicts, which are, hopefully, a little less intense than that one?
Well, ultimately, it really just comes down to a choice. We can keep playing the blame game, analyzing what's wrong with everybody else, or we can choose to practice a language that actually connects us, one that focuses on the universal feelings and needs that we all share. It's a choice between judgment and connection. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. The next time you find yourself in a really difficult conversation, what might happen if you just paused, took a breath, and tried to listen? Not to the attack, but for the universal human need that's being expressed, maybe tragically, behind the words. What could change for you?